doing a study like this, we're not just taking one climate model and running it into the future and taking it at face value. We do a lot of things to make sure that we're not being overly alarmist or overly conservative, for that matter.
Polar bears in Hudson Bay could become extinct as early as in the next decade if serious action isn't taken on global warming. A new study that two University of Manitoba researchers worked on is warning of. The report looked at what would happen to the Hudson Bay polar bear population as emissions rise and global warming continues. It found if global warming exceeded 1.6 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, the polar bear population in the southern Hudson Bay would disappear, with the same happening in the western portion once global warming exceeds about 2.6 degrees Celsius. When we get to that point, though, it depends on how fast global warming occurs, with projections as early as in the 2030s and stretching into the 2060s.
One of the key aspects of a polar bear's habitat is the presence of sea ice. Their main food source is ring seals. Ring seals like to den on the sea ice in these little snow dens that they make there. And the polar bears use that ice as a platform to hunt and eat the seals. If you take away the sea ice, you take away the habitat for the ring seals. That means you're taking away the food source for the polar bears.
The Paris Agreement, a binding international treaty that aims to limit global warming under 2 degrees Celsius, asks countries to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But according to the United Nations, at this point in time, that target will not be met.
Cutting your emissions over the next 10 years. It's going to be easy with electric cars and other things. And then look at places where you can influence power. So where you're spending your money, what your job is. Like, find those places where you can get people to make great decisions for the environment, for polar bears, and ultimately for ourselves.
Adam Pauls with Churchill Wild, a business that offers polar bear tours, says while the polar bear population in Churchill is still fairly good, they are diversifying their business.
We have also been growing a lot of the tourism around the other animals in the area, so wolves, moose, belugas.
But the news isn't all gloom and doom.
If we were to reverse global warming, go back to the climate that we had before, well, pre-industrials tend to be what we call it. Before that time, then you could conceivably repopulate Hudson Bay with polar bears. That totally is on the table.
In Winnipeg, Edward Jan, City News.